Hey guys, Colleen here. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, make sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out and hit all the notification bells. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so very much for coming back and checking on your girl. A big shout out to everybody who sent me a message on the shout out board as well as DMs. Thank you so very much. I did indicate last weekend that I wouldn't be posting a video because I really wasn't feeling well. I was completely like out of it, sick, puking, all that jazz, and I'm on medication. Your girl is recovering, just putting it out there for those who've been asking. So today I want to kick off my foundation series because half the month is already gone and your girl's sticking. So I did ask on IG stories what things you would like me to address in this foundation series. So I will be answering some of your questions while discussing my top 5 favorite foundations, affordable foundations. So if you want to hear what my top 5s are, the reasons, as well as answer some questions, just stay tuned. So the first question, and I'm gonna put a post of it here, reaction to skin. For the most part, I have particularly normal skin. So I'm not super sensitive, but I do like foundations that are non-comedogenic because that means they don't clog your pores. Because like everybody else, if I get clogged pores, I will break out. Luckily, I have a very, I don't want to say stringent skincare routine, but I have been being pretty good at taking care of my skin. So things like that, things I look for in a foundation, just not to clog my skin, and foundations that probably have hyaluronic acid is a plus for me. And there are a lot of foundation brands that are including hyaluronic acid in it. So if you're one who, yeah, you're oily but you're looking to still capture the moisture in your skin, look for that ingredient in your foundation. The first favorite affordable foundation. Now, I did a dedicated review on this a couple of years ago. It got quite a bit of views actually, and it is one that I think is the cheapest to be featured here. You can get it for $50 in Pennywise, $60 in Wonderful World. It is the LA Girl Pro Matte foundation. This came out like a couple of years ago. My perfect shade is caramel. I will insert a swatch here for you guys to see what it looks like on my skin. What I like about this foundation is it's full coverage, it's very matte, and it's very long wearing, and it's very affordable. It's actually the cheapest one I'm featuring in this video. This bad boy lasted a whole 16 hours on my face in one sitting, and it did not budge. I did not have to blot, I did not have to reapply. I was blown away by how well this performed, and this definitely lived up to the hype. It is medium to full buildable coverage, so if you're someone who doesn't have too much discoloration on your face, you can get a full beat with this foundation and look flawless for the end of, throughout the day basically, and at the end of the day still look like if you put it on. So if you are in the market for something that could really like be a workhorse of a foundation and you are on a tight budget, check this one out. Okay, the next question I got is favorite long wearing foundations for this Trini heat. Now, I did indicate that the LA Girl Pro Matte is definitely one. Another long wearing foundation, workhorse of a foundation, is the NARS All Day Luminous Weightless Foundation. I have heard a very disturbing rumor that NARS is actually discontinuing that line of foundation, which is tragic. So if you want to try it out, this is probably your last chance at grabbing it up. You can get them on Sephora or Nordstrom or even on the NARS website. It's about $50. It is pricey, but a little goes a long way. And when I say that foundation lasts, in Caribbean heat is like, no lies, it lasts. Now the next affordable foundation, you're seeing it here in my hand, is an oldie but a goodie. I fell in love with this foundation about 3 or 4 years ago when it first released. It is the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte Foundation. I think in terms of the Infallible line, this is the OG foundation, and it's still here today rocking its rock, because I think its other sisters, the Pro Glow, I don't think you see that anymore. They may have discontinued it, or they just stopped bringing it in Trinidad. But this, guys, is a foundation to try, especially if you have oily skin. Again, this is one, it has a demi matte finish. It is buildable to full coverage, so depending on how much you use, you can get a full coverage beat with this bad boy. It does not budge at all. I remember wearing this to work a day and having to travel to Tobago to interview a witness for a trial matter, and I was basically on the road on planes and whatnot for like the entire day, and this did not move, and I did not have time to like blot or reapply or fix my foundation. Yeah, so your girl felt flawless that day, and I would highly recommend it, especially if you're someone who has like long working hours and you really don't have time to like check in on your makeup and reapply and blot. This is a really good one. I use the shade 109 Classic Tan. I have gone down a shade since being home a lot, you know, I haven't been out and about, so I have gone down a little bit in terms of my shade, but this one works well for me and I have no complaints, and I'd highly recommend it. You can get this in Pennywise or any drugstore across Trinidad and Tobago. Now the next question I did receive is foundations for dry skin people, please. Now I don't have many, because at the end of the day I do have combination oily skin, but I do use foundations that could work either for dry skin or oily skin, and I'm going to recommend the next two foundations to whoever it is also has very dry skin, very affordable, the coverage is flawless, and I think at least in one of them you definitely could get a really good match, because that line is known to carry a really good shade range. So let's just kick off. Number 3 for me, it is the WetnWild Photofocus range of foundations. Now I did do a dedicated review on the original, the OG foundation a couple years back, so I will make sure to link it in the description box below in case you're interested. And I have since recently tried out the dewy version. I would recommend the dewy version if you have dry skin. The finish is really beautiful, like something about this. Now I know these are two different formulas, but what I can say is that it is medium coverage, so you do have to build it up. It isn't as thick as the first two that I did mention. However, the finish of these foundations here is more of a soft focus, almost like a blurring effect, which, like, if you have like fine lines and you know you want to try and like kind of soften that effect, try these out. What I also like about this foundation as well is that the undertone pulls very neutral, so like when I get on my paler side, this matches beautifully without me having to like do any kind of like twerking of the foundation with concealer. I do wear the shade Toffee Pecan for anybody who is my shade range. For reference, I am a MAC NC45. um, you know, it does kind of fluctuate a little bit, but I'm more even keel on NC45, even though like right now I'm kind of little palish. I mean, the lighting doesn't really show, but if you see me like out and about, you'll be like, Colleen, you're losing some of your tan color. But this is a really lovely foundation. Now the next question I was asked was, how do you find your correct shade? Now this is a problem that a lot of us have, especially people of color, because our undertones could be so tricky. Not just like finding your perfect shade, but also finding your pale shade and also finding your tan shade. Because honestly speaking, for me, like sometimes I have to buy 3 different shades of foundation in one line in order for it to match me, depending on what the situation with my skin is. Like my undertone is always changing, and for me, I am not looking to invest in an expensive foundation to look crazy. You know that meme with Jerry the Mouse? No, that ain't Colleen here. So a trick that I like to do is I like to match it against my chest, because my face and my neck and my chest have to match, especially depending on like what clothes I'm wearing. Like this here, I have on a tube top. My foundation has to match up because we're looking like no ghost face killer. So you can either match it against your jawline, because it will be closest to your neck and you'll be able to match it up, and always check it in natural daylight, because them store lights is be fooling you. Like, and you know what, if you're not sure, take one of your pickiest friends to go with you and help you choose. Now there are 2 websites that I do recommend you use if you're shopping online as well. There is temptalia.com as well as fination.com. Once you put in what is your correct foundation shade, it pulls up all the equivalents for you. There are even some websites right now, like Elf for instance, who would shade match you, and I find that to be so very helpful. I know Sephora does that as well. They even take like a photo of you online and they recommend foundation shades for you. Sometimes it could be a little off, and that might be because of the lighting in the picture. So make sure that when you're taking a picture, do it in like proper lighting so that you can get the most accurate recommendation in terms of shade range. And yeah, that is basically how I choose my foundations and make sure that I get the right shades. So the next foundation, again, this is one that works on oily skin, it works on dry skin, it works on normal skin. It is one of those all-purpose all-star foundations. It's one of the more recent ones, and I'm kind of happy that even though L'Oreal has stopped bringing in Pro Glow, we have fresh wear, and I am like, oh, living for this foundation. Now this foundation is definitely not matte. It isn't matte in the slightest. It has a beautiful satin finish, and of lately I've been really loving like those skin like finishes. I wear the shade 510. It does pull a little warm on me these days, so I do have to twerk it, flip it and reverse it in order for it to work. But honestly speaking, it's not that much twerking I have to do, but the finish of this is so beautiful. It is medium buildable coverage. You can get this in any drugstore, Pennywise, in Trinidad and Tobago, and it's under 100 TT. So, and it comes with a pump, which again, like drugstore brands really stepping up the game, because I remember there was a point in time drugstore foundations and drugstore packaging was crap. But this foundation, guys, you'll need to try it out. I actually need to go back and get my correct shade, because they have since expanded the line even further, and there are more choices for us. And this line goes really dark and it goes really light, so depending on where you fall on the spectrum, you can definitely find something that will match you. and the finish is flawless. Now this last foundation I'm about to mention is, for me, the Rock of Ages foundation. I think when this line came out for this brand, I think it was a turning point in drugstore foundations on a whole, and ever since this line came out, like, drugstore foundations and drugstore makeup on a whole just stepped it all the way up, and I just could not be happier for it, because it's a win-win situation for all of us here. This is the Revlon Color Stay 24-hour foundation, and what's the great thing about this line? It caters for both dry skin and oily skin, so all your ladies, y'all could get it depending on your skin needs. And what's even better is that they have since expanded the shade range, which again, we are winning here, guys. So you have more options. You could even find like your deeper shade and your lighter shade with ease now. Before, I used to use the shade 400 Caramel and I used to look roasted. I had to do a lot of tweaking to that foundation in order to make it match. But this one, which is the 375 Toffee Caramel, is a much better match for me. I love to wear this. I wear this to go to work with most times, to go out, to run errands. I don't have to blot, I don't have to touch up, it stays put. A lot of people ask, what high-end foundation you wearing? I don't know, high-end. Listen, it is Revlon, and people are like, what? I'm like, Revlon. Again, under 100 TT, and this is a foundation you can find anywhere. Someone did ask oily skin faves, so what I mentioned here are oily skin faves in essence. And another question, how about a get to know me tag? Well, here it is. I don't mind doing it, just shoot me your questions and I could do one, but right now we're talking about the foundations. So yeah, send me your questions on anything you want to see about foundations. I will do my best to, you know, do as many of those videos as possible for the month of August. So yeah, so tell me, any of my recommended top 5 are in your top 5 affordable foundations? Let me know in the comments below. Or do you have like a whole different set of foundation recommendations? Let me know in the comments below, and yeah, I might try out a couple of them and see if I find new loves. You know, I love testing and trying out new products and giving you guys my feedback on it. So that is basically it for this video this week, guys. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment in the comment section below, and share this video. Make sure to subscribe on your way out, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.